bringing in right now Deputy Chief Curt Lawson of the West Bloomfield Police Department. Breaking news in the West Bloomfield area this morning, as just after around 3:30 this morning, there was a 911 call about a home invasion in the West Bloomfield area, and an individual inside the home was shot. We've been trying to follow this throughout the morning, so let's bring in the deputy chief. What's the latest on the investigation? Has anyone been arrested yet?
So there's no one in custody at this point. Just to give you a kind of an overview of what happened, just before 3:30 this morning, our communications center received a 911 call from a resident up in the area of Hiller, north of Greer, saying that 3 individuals had broken into her house. They had come upstairs into the residence and shot her husband several times. They had then fled the area. Officers got up there relatively quick. We secured the residence. We did a perimeter. We called several canine units to the area and did a track. And we determined with quite a bit of confidence that those suspects had already left the area via vehicle. So our detectives have been on scene since a little bit after 4 o'clock this morning. They're processing a lot of evidence. They've taken electronic evidence. They're looking for surveillance video from surrounding houses. And of course, if any residents saw something suspicious right around 3 a.m. to 3:30, definitely give us a call to be interested in talking to you about that. At the time of the home invasion, there was 4 people in the residence. We're very thankful that, unfortunately one person was obviously shot, but the other 3 are unhurt. There was multiple shots fired within the house, not only from the suspects, but from one of the individuals inside the house. So thankfully, none of the neighbors were hurt. And it's early in the investigation, but it's certainly an ongoing investigation.
And Deputy Chief, obviously the first thing that comes to mind for anyone who lives in the area is, are they at harm? Is this random? Or does this seem like the suspects and the victim had some type of connection?
Well, it's like I said, it's very early in the investigation, but from everything that we've seen so far, this is not a random event. They knew who was living there. They knew why they went to that residence. So we don't believe it was just a random event. And like I said, those suspects we don't believe are in the area. So our residents could breathe a sigh of relief.
There are so many people now with Ring cameras or other types of home security devices. I would imagine that could be a huge asset to members of your law enforcement team to try to help, put this crime together. So maybe homes that are even, 5, 6 houses away, would you want them to look at their Ring cameras or their home security systems to maybe help put together a description of the vehicle involved?
Absolutely. And what's so interesting is that, is really what has led to all of our success. Now, we don't have these types of incidents very often. In the last couple of years, we've probably had 2 or 3 shootings total, but we've had a lot of success. And a lot of that success is based on the amazing team that we have here in West Bloomfield, but also the technology. And we're able to use that technology to our advantage. So we're going to be downloading cell phones and computers, and we're going to be looking for those Ring cameras and those surveillance videos to try to develop some suspect information. But you're absolutely right. If there's anyone that lives anywhere in that subdivision, off of 3 Ponds, I believe it is, the subdivision, the street that comes in off the subdivision, we would like to hear from them if they have any sort of surveillance video or if they saw anything suspicious, because there's only one way in and one way out of that subdivision.
Curt Lawson with us, Deputy Chief of the West Bloomfield Township Police Department and their Public Information Officer as well. Curt, if there are neighbors in the area that do have that information, what's the best way for them to provide that, should they decide to do so, to the West Bloomfield Police Department?
Well, they can always contact us. We prefer actually via phone because we have a lot of dispatchers and public safety aides that are going to be able to answer that phone and interact with them very quickly. So that phone number is 248-975-9200. Or they can message us on Facebook, and we'll get back to them right away. But we're very interested in, a lot of the previous cases that we've had, large cases, a lot of those breaks have been from residents coming forward and providing us information. It's been a great partnership with our community, and I think that's why we end up solving so many of these cases. This is just not us doing the work, it's us with the community getting the job done.
What can you tell us about the victim at all? How is he doing? And I think I saw one report that he could be a rapper.
Yes, I've heard the same report. When he was transported by the West Bloomfield Fire Department, he was conscious. He was shot multiple times. I don't have an update on his status at this point. I can tell you that he actually FaceTime live after he was shot, which we don't recommend. But we looked at that video. He was talking and breathing and all of those things after he was shot. So.
Wait.
Yes, I knew
you're shot multiple times.
Yes.
And you're Facebooking live.
Yes.
As what? What is this world coming to?
It is a different world that we live. Yes. And thankfully we're able to check people's social media, and we're able to find that and take a look at that ourselves, and it's part of the investigation.
Okay, again, 248-975-9200 if people know something.
That's correct.
Okay. The good thing here, it seems like he's still alive, and obviously there was some type of connection between the victim and the suspects, so the general public doesn't need to be of concern. However, if they know something, to call in with that information.
Absolutely. And what we try to do here at the West Bloomfield is we really try to get out in front of this. And so we push this information out right away so we could alleviate the concerns of some of the residents in our north end, because, word was getting around pretty quick. Actually, I got a call from the news media this morning about this incident before I got a call from my work. So word got out pretty quick. But we try to stay on top of it, and we encourage our residents to follow us on our social media sites.
You guys have been great about keeping up your social media sites and following along and getting that information out. Speaking about that, so we've covered this big breaking news, and we talked to the chief yesterday as well, so we always appreciate having all of you on as well. You're a very experienced law enforcement officer, and I know that you have no direct connection to the big news that came out yesterday regarding the investigation into the attempt to try to possibly kidnap the governor and instigate civil war here in the state of Michigan. Just from a law enforcement standpoint and someone with your expertise and knowledge, when you saw that headline, what was going through your mind?
Well, obviously, it was shocking because there was no intelligence that was available to us, at least, that something like that was going on. But I can tell you, I had the privilege to go to the FBI National Academy back in 2009, and that's where they send leaders in law enforcement to get specialized training. And I remember them telling us at the time in 2009 that their biggest concern wasn't foreign terrorism; it was local domestic terrorism. So that was back in 2009. I don't think that's really changed. You have left-wing groups, you have right-wing groups, and they're always a concern. And that's why it's so important for law enforcement at local, state, federal levels to communicate and share that information. And for the most part, post 9/11, we've done a very good job with that, and we've been able to stop some of the some things that were in the works that we certainly wouldn't want to see come to fruition.
Yeah, and that is one thing that is so important is the collaboration, because let's just say the FBI is not known to play well in other people's sandboxes, as we like to say in the law enforcement community. But in this case, it does seem like some of this started on the local level, and then you get the state and the feds together. And when you can pull those resources, and the importance of having confidential informants, but also I think this really speaks to, at a time, the importance of being able to have a very wide-ranging, diverse law enforcement community so that you can have agents that are willing to go undercover. And we need people of all different backgrounds to be able to join law enforcement so they can help go into some of these groups to be able to put these cases together, because you can't just rely on confidential informants. While they're important, we also need some of these law enforcement officers and agents to be able to do those jobs as well.
You're exactly right. I know the chief talked a little bit yesterday on the megacast about the importance of recruiting and getting minority recruits, especially in a community like West Bloomfield. We're just so very, very diverse. And I'm being very truthful when I say that federal agencies have been really great with us as far as sharing information. But we also embed some of our detectives in these federal agencies. We have someone in the Secret Service, we have someone in the FBI, the DEA. So we have a pretty good pulse on what's going on. I know the chief has a secret clearance and I'm working on getting mine. So we actually have FBI briefings that we're a part of. So we have a good idea of what's going on, and we're going to be part of the solution if something arises that's a danger to our community.
Curt Lawson with us, West Bloomfield Township Deputy Police Chief and Public Information Officer. Deputy Chief, at this time, where can people find more information as it comes out from the police department? Obviously, we'll be on top of that and share whatever information you can provide for the community as you update them on the incident that happened this morning with the home invasion and shooting in West Bloomfield. But as those updates come out, where will you be providing those?
So we're definitely going to put out updates on our social media. I've talked to the press so much today that I'm losing my voice. So I'm sure at noon and 5 o'clock, you'll see additional information. But right now, I think we're gonna see less information come out over the next probably 4 or 5 days as we just kind of digest all the evidence that we've gathered. We sift through it, we do our interviews. So I actually expect us to slow down a little bit with the investigation, take our time, make sure we get it right. And then hopefully we'll have the results that we're looking for at the end of the day.
And Deputy Chief, can you talk about the importance of that? Because in today's world, we expect information every 15, 20, 30 minutes or an hourly update. But there are times you do need to be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So why is that important sometimes for the community to know that you are still working a case, however, you can't share all the information that you're gathering?
Sure. Well, it's very important, especially in today's law enforcement. We're really under the spotlight, sometimes deservingly so, sometimes not. But it's very important that we're transparent, and we want to control that narrative. So we want to push out information that we can push out to the community and to the media. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we're not going to compromise the case when it goes to court, that we're not going to kind of spoil the jury pool and influence that jury. So it's a balancing act. But the chief and I, we converse about what information that we're going to release, and I think for the most part we've been good. We haven't really had any issues, but we try to be as transparent as possible.
Again, I'm just going back to the victim who is Facebooking live after he's been shot. Has he been cooperating with law enforcement at all? Does he have any indication or any tips or clues that he's been able to clue you and your detectives into as to who might be behind this?
I don't think I want to talk too much about that. I'll say that we have talked to him, and the conversation will continue.
Deputy Chief Curt Lawson with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. It's always great to have you on with us. Anything we didn't want to touch on as of yet that you want to get out to the public?
No. Well, I guess there's one thing, certainly from the police chief and the fire chief and myself, we want to tell our residents that I know there's been a lot of information out there. It has become a little bit political about whether to wear a mask or not wear a mask. It's just our opinion from listening to the scientists, listen to the experts, listen to the doctors at Henry Ford Hospital right here in West Bloomfield, that we just believe is very important that you social distance and that you do wear a mask when you're in a confined space or you're out in the public and you can't keep that 6 foot of distance. So I want to get that message out there that we really believe that is important as we work our way through this wonderful 2020.
And I will say, for the most part, every time I go to Kroger or CVS or anywhere, any of the shops here in the West Bloomfield area, I've not yet seen anyone not comply. I think it's starting to become a habit. People may not like it, But even after the Supreme Court decision last Friday, I thought I'd start to see people maybe not wearing them. But for the most part, everyone seems to still be abiding by the mask mandate. Are you guys seeing that as well?
We are, absolutely.
Well, that's good to know. See, you can teach old dogs new tricks, right?
That's correct.
We're all getting older. It's hard to learn these new habits, but when you look at Asia, China, some of these other countries, they're so used to wearing masks because they've had outbreaks such as SARS and these other viruses that for them it has become kind of a way of life. And here in America, it hasn't been. So this is our first real time with this, and 6+ months into it, we are starting to get the message that we need to wear the mask, if not for our own good, for those around us, and also just to be respectful of others. So, Deputy Chief, we always appreciate having you here on the Oakland County MegaCast. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Great to see you guys. Have a great weekend.